Welcome to our online class entitled Communication Basics, Simple Habits to Start and to Avoid. This is the 13th class in the Marriage Certification course. The Marriage Certification course includes 16 different classes. Although we recommend that you go through the entire course, each of these individual classes can provide insight and assistance in helping you deal with your unique situation, and hopefully will be able to help you make the correct decisions regarding your partnership. Good communication skills are essential for a long and happy marriage. With that in mind, new couples need to recognize that good communication skills do not just evolve from being together, but will take work, effort, correcting bad habits, and developing new correct ones. Let's start by discussing communication in general. Most people mistake the term communication to be what is said, when in reality, communication is made up of 3 distinct parts, of which spoken words are the smallest segment. The 3 parts referred to are spoken words, tone of voice, and nonverbal. As shown in the graph, what we say is the smallest part of what is actually communicated. Our tone of voice is attributed to 38% of communication. It communicates our attitudes, feelings, patience, gratitude, and many more factors than the actual words being spoken. You've probably heard before the statement, "It's not what you say, it's how you say it." And the majority of communication is nonverbal, which includes our facial expressions, eye contact and gaze, gestures, posture, and proximity. Additionally, our clothing, grooming, and hygiene play a role in what is communicated. In a romantic relationship, it's easy to take for granted the importance of tone and nonverbal communication. Therefore, communication rule number 1 is, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Communication rule number 2 is to communicate clearly. Now, let me be clear here. It is the responsibility of the communicator to clearly communicate what they feel, what they need, or what their issues are. If your partner does not understand you, then it's your fault for not clearly communicating. Yes, I'm guilty of stereotyping here, but I frequently find that many women expect their men to just understand what they want and need. Sorry to tell you, women, but we men just aren't that smart, and we definitely aren't mind readers. What we generally are is anxious to please you. So please help us by clearly letting us know what you want and need. The subsequent result of not following rule number 2 is rule number 3. Don't jump to conclusions. Those who think people should be able to read their minds frequently believe that they can read minds. Thus, they make all sorts of assumptions about what you are thinking and why you are acting a certain way. And we all know what happens when we assume, thanks to Samuel L. Jackson. It's okay to question, and probably important that you do when you believe your partner is frustrated, concerned, discouraged, or any other potential negative state. But the key is to seek for understanding before drawing your conclusions, and especially before you take offense. Moving on. Rule number 4 is to speak in terms of how I feel versus what you did. This very important communication practice creates ownership of your feelings, contrary to blaming your partner for them. It is a natural response for humans to be concerned and compassionate when someone expresses hurt feelings. And it is a common response for humans to be defensive when they feel attacked or blamed. Along those lines, rule number 5 is to eliminate from our vocabulary always and never statements. Bottom line, it is always an exaggeration and should never be used. And thus the second they are used, they will be refuted and thus ultimately weaken your position. Again, refer back to rule number 4 and recognize that most statements using always or never are preceded by you. A very key part of communication, which remember is the goal here, is to listen. Thus our rule number 6 is, don't interrupt your partner when they are speaking. Interrupting sends a clear message that what you have to say must matter more than anything your partner is saying. Additionally, interruptions are frequently based on jumping to conclusions of what you think your partner is trying to say. Let your partner finish their thoughts and truly listen. That brings us to rule number 7, which is to seek for understanding. When you have listened to what your partner has stated, try to paraphrase back to them what you heard them say. This will eliminate confusion and create clarity. You can begin this paraphrasing with something like, "If I understood you, you feel," and then fill in the blanks. If done in the correct tone and attitude, being heard and understood will deflate most potential arguments. Moving on. Rule number 8 is to avoid communication fatigue. 2 points. Try to make time to have important discussions when you are awake and alert. Avoid serious discussions when you're tired. Communication skills altogether decline when we are tired, both in articulating and understanding. I am often asked, is it okay to go to bed angry? My answer is yes, but the wise couple will schedule a follow-up time to finish their discussion as soon as possible. Secondly, if a discussion goes on too long or gets too heated, take a break. Cool down, collect your thoughts, and resume when calmer heads prevail. Communicating and resolution is the goal, which leads me to rule number 9. Don't argue to be right. Remember, there is always more than one right way to do most things. Please hear me out on this. If being right to you is more important than seeking for resolution, then you are probably nothing more than an emotional bully. An argument where one or both partners is attempting to prove that their point of view is right generally means that they are unwilling to consider their partner's opinion and are attempting to force theirs upon the other. Doesn't sound very loving, does it? Rule number 10 is to eliminate labeling or name-calling. It may be easier said than done, but recognize that the second you resort to such words, it is practically a guarantee that your partner will be less likely to listen to you, and any valid points you may have will be rejected. Again, these are emotional bullying methods that show little desire on the speaker's part to actually hope for understanding and resolution. Rule number 11 is to keep private issues private. Do not publicly argue or dive into deep relationship issues for the world to observe. No one wants to hear them, and you most likely will get the cops called on you. Additionally, along those same lines, never publicly ridicule your partner. To me, that is the closest thing to an unpardonable relationship sin. Lastly, my most favorite communication rule is to try to argue as it is you together versus the issue or problem, not you versus your partner. Now think about that one for a minute. Your goal is to be one, to be close, loving, understanding of each other, not to be at odds and in disagreement. But problems are going to come up in life. Identify the issue and separate it from the individual. Then as partners address the issue or problem side by side. Once you catch the vision of this rule and create the habits around implementing it, all other 11 rules are practically unnecessary. Now for your homework. Print the 12 communication rules document and keep it handy for your next important discussion/argument with your partner. Do everything in your power to abide by all 12 of the rules, and please let me know how it went. Congratulations! Good luck! This concludes our class entitled Communication Basics, Simple Habits to Start and to Avoid. Our next class in the Marriage Certification course is You're My Best Friend, a discussion on how your friendship may be the key to your longevity as a couple.